The waiter had just taken a young couple's order for their usual Saturday night dinner. They placed the same order they did every week at this upscale restaurant. After heading back to jot down their choices, a personable, tall gentleman approached the waiter. "Raoul, did they order the same thing again?" "Yes, Mr. Farnsworth, the usual. 2 appetizers and water. It's not much, but they're giving me a 25% tip." Farnsworth grinned. "Big spenders, huh? How much is their total bill?" "I'm afraid I can't share that, Mr. Farnsworth," the waiter replied, noticing a $50 bill being waved in front of his face. Snatching it and slipping it into his pocket, he continued, $26 and $30, sir. "Do they pay with a black or platinum card?" "No, sir, they pay in cash. Last week, I even got 50 cents in pennies as part of the tip." "Are they talking? Does she speak? What does her voice sound like?" "She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I must have her, even if just once." "Surely her voice is as beautiful as she looks. Tell me, how does she speak?" "I wouldn't know, sir. She never speaks. She only smiles. But it's the prettiest smile I've ever seen. He does all the talking. I need to have her. I must. They've been coming here every week for the last 8 weeks, sir. Always the same time, 6 o'clock sharp. They're quick to leave before the crowd arrives." "Thank you for the information, Raoul. Next week, I'll bring a lawyer with me." The following week, Farnsworth entered the restaurant and saw the couple at their usual spot, eating the same meal as the week before. He set his sights on the object of his desire and was prepared to pay whatever it took. Putting on his game face, he approached them as they sipped their soup. "Good evening. My name is Baxter Farnsworth III, he introduced himself. The couple looked up, startled by the towering figure before them. "Mind if I join you?" Farnsworth asked. The young man nodded, and Farnsworth sized him up. He looked to be about 6 feet 3 inches or 6 feet 5 inches, weighing around 235 pounds. He seemed fit for his size, with a suit that strained against his broad shoulders. Noticing the scars on the man's face, Farnsworth realized he was dealing with someone who could hold his own. "And your name is?" Farnsworth asked. The young man put down his spoon, extended his hand, and introduced himself. "I'm Adam White, and this is my wife, May. What can I do for you, Mr. Farnsworth?" "I'm a straightforward man, Mr. White. I see what I want, and I go after it. Your wife is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." "I can't disagree with you there," White said. "So why this conversation?" "I appreciate a man who gets straight to the point," Farnsworth responded, narrowing his eyes. "I have a business proposition for you and your lovely wife." "What kind of proposal?" White asked, clearly intrigued. Farnsworth smiled. He knew he had White's attention. "This is strictly business, Mr. White. No need to get personal. I'm on the Forbes list of the richest people in the world. I have more money than I can spend. I'm worth $50 billion, so I don't argue over trivial matters." White's fist clenched. "I'm offering you and Mrs. White $1 million, tax-free, for a weekend with your wife. If you both agree, the money will be in your account by 7:30 this evening, and the arrangement will begin. I'll return her home at 7:30 Monday morning." "How do you even know where we live?" White asked. "Adam, hope you don't mind me calling you Adam. I knew who you were before I even asked your name. I've had you both investigated. You're a former Marine, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, 1 tour each. You suffer from PTSD, and you've been struggling to hold down a job. Your cars are old, your credit cards maxed out. This is your chance to start fresh." Farnsworth's smile widened as he continued, "When I'm done, I'll return your wife, and you'll never hear from me again. If I contact her, I'll owe you $50 million. My lawyer is here. We can sign the contract, and I'll transfer the money upfront. If she refuses, you get the money back, or I'll bankrupt you in court." He leaned in. "For that kind of money, I expect anything. Your wife is mine for the weekend. I'll have her back by 7:30 Monday morning, and she can do the walk of shame for all the neighbors to see." Adam White stared at Farnsworth, expression unreadable. He'd be a great poker player, But Farnsworth couldn't tell whether White was going to accept the money or pull a knife. "Mr. Farnsworth, give me a moment to talk to my wife," White said. He leaned in, whispering to May, and she whispered back. This went on for a minute before May gave a slight nod. Adam turned to Farnsworth. "We accept, but with some conditions." May began to speak, but Adam cut her off. "This is a man's conversation. Eat your soup and be quiet." She obediently nodded. Farnsworth smiled at the power dynamic. "What are your conditions?" "First, no alcohol. May is allergic, and it could kill her. You're going to have her anyway, so getting her drunk is pointless." "No problem," Farnsworth replied, still smiling. "Second, no drugs. She's on antidepressants, and drugs could really mess her up. Third, you are solely responsible for her all weekend. No one else. You take her, and no outings." Farnsworth nodded in agreement. "Furthermore, she has the right to refuse anything. If she says no, you stop immediately. And your money will be returned. No whips, chains, or marks on her body. No third parties, no photos, no videos. And finally, you must bring her back at exactly 7:30 a.m. Monday. Not a second early." Farnsworth looked surprised, but nodded. "Oh, and before you leave tonight, you'll cook her dinner, pay for my meal, and tip the waiter. If you violate any of these conditions, you'll owe me an additional $100 million. Farnsworth blinked, absorbing the stipulations. "Deal," he said. "I understand your request. Here's a paraphrased version of the script while keeping the same structure and style. Do you understand?" Adam asked, and Farnsworth quickly replied, "Of course, I understand. I agree to all of your terms." Farnsworth's lawyers were quick to draft the document for both parties to sign. "Give me your account number, and I'll wire you the $1 million, tax-free," Farnsworth added. The lawyer made swift adjustments to the contract and printed it for everyone to see. Once Farnsworth transferred the money, Adam forwarded it to his offshore account. In a surprisingly pleasant mood, Farnsworth grinned and said, "Adam, I'm feeling generous. Let me treat you to dinner." But Adam wasn't interested. "Not a chance," he said, standing up and heading for the door. As he made his way out, Adam heard a strange noise coming from a nearby stall. Goosebumps crept up his arms as May's laughter filled the room, followed by a bizarre sound, almost like the bray of a donkey. 30 minutes later, Adam arrived home to total silence, no talking, no TV, and, more importantly, no wife. He was enjoying a peaceful evening with his best friend, Jack, and a close cousin when his phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. Hesitant, Adam answered. "Hello," came Farnsworth's voice on the other end. "You set me up, you bastard. I want my money back." Confused, Adam replied, "What do you mean, Mr. Farnsworth? Did she refuse to sleep with you?" "No," Farnsworth retorted, clearly frustrated. "She didn't refuse, but she won't stop talking. Even when I kiss her, she talks. We danced, and she kept talking. It's constant, nonstop chatter at 90 miles an hour. I don't think she even breathes. And that Jewish Bronx accent, it's driving me insane. I can't take it anymore. I want out." Adam growled into the phone, "No deal, Mr. Farnsworth, no refunds." "You agreed." There was a long pause on the line before Adam continued. "Do you hear that, Mr. Farnsworth?" "No," Farnsworth replied, perplexed. "I don't hear anything." "That's right," Adam said. Silence. "I haven't had it in 5 years. It's 8:30 sharp, which means you've got exactly 35 hours, or 2,100 minutes, or 126,000 seconds left with her." He chuckled darkly before adding, "Oh, by the way, May is allergic to latex. We were planning to start a family, and she's fertile now. Whether the baby is mine or not doesn't matter, we just want kids. So, if you get her pregnant, I'll be expecting child support. That's 20% of your income, by the way. And considering her family's history of triplets, well, let's just say you might be paying a lot for the next 18 years. Adam's tone grew more menacing as he went on. "I expect you to attend all the family gatherings too, her mom, her 2 sisters. And don't forget, triplets run in the family. May is going to need your help, especially since she can't get a word in edgewise with her mother and siblings. You'll be doing me a favor if you get her pregnant. The tension on Farnsworth's end of the line was palpable. Tick-tock, Mr. Farnsworth, Adam concluded. You've got 35 hours or 291 minutes left before she's back home. Good luck. He hung up the phone. 20 minutes later, Farnsworth called back, his voice frantic. Adam. I can't take her back. Please, are you crying? Adam smirked. Bulls don't cry, Farnsworth. What's going on? In a broken voice, Farnsworth admitted, I'm in the bathroom. She's outside, and she won't stop talking. I'm holding the stall door shut to keep her out. Mr. Farnsworth, you promised to be a man of your word, Adam said, amused. I was counting on a peaceful weekend. You don't understand. Farnsworth pleaded. Oh, but I do, Adam replied coldly. You're trying to break our deal. We had an agreement, you sleep with my wife, and I get peace and quiet. Simple as that. You can't just back out. I can't pay the $100 million. I'd have to sell off my companies. People would lose their jobs, their livelihoods. Think of the children. Adam's response was icy. I don't know, Mr. Farnsworth. I'll have to think about it. Desperate, Farnsworth bargained. What if I gave you another $4 million? That's $5 million, tax-free. Just let me bring her back early. Please. Adam could hear May's voice in the background, still trying to get into the stall. He could picture Farnsworth, sweating and terrified, holding the door shut. All right, Adam said finally. It's a deal. Send over the contract and wire the money. You've got 30 minutes. True to his word, 15 minutes later, a Lamborghini rolled up the driveway. Farnsworth stepped out and hurriedly let May out of the car. She was chattering incessantly, and Farnsworth all but ran to the porch where Adam waited. Without turning to say goodbye, Farnsworth made a beeline for his car. Adam called after him, Aren't you going to kiss her goodnight? Farnsworth stopped in his tracks, but without looking back, muttered, No, I'm leaving. Adam laughed, watching him go. How do you deal with all that chatter? Farnsworth asked, turning back once. With a grin, Adam ran his tongue over the roof of his mouth and made a clicking noise, as if flicking an imaginary switch. I just turn off my implant, he said, closing the door. Inside, May wrapped her arms around Adam, pressing her lips to his. Did you miss me? She teased, as his hand slid down to her waist. He grinned, pulling her close. Yes, he growled, his body reacting to her touch. May giggled. That has to be a record. Less than 2 hours, and we're already $25 million richer. Why didn't you hold out for more? Adam smirked. I was impatient. Besides, I couldn't wait to bring you home. May purred in response, and don't forget, I'm fertile. As she sauntered toward the bedroom, Adam called after her, Oh, by the way, your agent called. Barry's got a new deal for you, something about cutting a commercial. Also, there's a yodeling contest next week. They want you as the guest of honor. May stripped down and shouted back, Don't forget to wire Raoul the $100,000. I already did, Adam replied, locking the door behind him. He entered the bedroom, and there was May, stretched out on the bed, smiling. I know you didn't eat much at dinner, she teased. Care for a late-night snack? As Adam undressed, May called out, Oh, and we're going to my mom's tomorrow. My sisters will be there. Adam groaned, thinking to himself that maybe it was time to renegotiate his deal with Farnsworth.